What's good, everybody? It's your boy Piston Mike back again on the mic with another video. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell button. Let's get into today's video, man. Um, take it. Take-a-thon has a 6. Let's see. Well, is it about to do it? Oh,
Yo, what's
what's
up, man?
up, bro? How you doing?
All right, yourself?
I'm doing good. Introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, so my name is Steve Pelletier. Again, I write for DetroitBadBoys.com. It's your best place for all your Pistons news and stuff. I'm Steve. If you've gone to the site more, I started off as Duke City versus everybody off the playoff Detroit versus everybody. So that's me. I mainly focus on draft stuff, but I do occasional breakdowns. My latest piece was a 10-game progress report for the Pistons. So talk a little bit about that. And like Michael was saying here, 6 is what Tankathon has us at, like the best odds. I think they said it's like 25%. Basically, is like the best odds for us to land the 6th pick. And I mean, last year we got number 1, so it stands to reason it's going to be hard for the team to get another top 3 pick. It just doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you guys go check that out. I will leave the links in the description for my YouTube video. Great articles. Make sure you go read them. But yeah, so who do you think the Pistons should get if we end up with the 6th pick?
My like number 2 guy, really I want to push him for number 1, but I mean, I've been saying the brain says Paulo, but the heart says PBJ. So Patrick Baldwin Jr. is who I would want them to get. And we talked about him a little bit
Mm,
last time. 6'9", 220, awesome stroke, 6'9". He hasn't really shot it that well yet, but he's still like getting his feet under him. He's not really a one-man show because there's 2 other guys on that team. I can't think of their names offhand that both score like over 14 points a game. So he's not doing it by himself, but he is like the team leader in rebounds, the team leader in 3-point shots. So he is putting in work. And anybody that scouts him, if you go look at like Sam Vecini, Matt Penny, I want to say it's Mavs Draft. So one of those guys just put a video up on Twitter of his ability to just shoot off of the dribble at 6'9", 220 is unreal. So I think he would work in great and like a middle of the lineup of Sadiq, Grant,
mm.
PBJ. That would be awesome. So
Yeah, I would agree, man. I don't see why not. Like I do want I think Pop, not Pop, Pilo bench.
Paulo, yeah,
Yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, he's just an absolute stud. Gonna be a beast.
yeah.
But
I didn't want to make the Melo comps, but after the first couple games, I'm like, man, he does look like Melo shooting that
yeah,
mid-range shot. So
he does. He definitely has got that mellow type of game. He's got the body. Like, could you imagine putting him next to Beef Stew? Like, that would be a scary front court, man. Scary,
yeah,
scary.
yeah, for sure. And especially since Steve Stu, it doesn't seem like the jump shot is a thing. Like he'd be a perfect complement.
Yeah.
So
Um, but um, Patrick Baldwin Jr. I wouldn't mind. Like he's
mhm,
definitely got some game. Very
mhm,
versatile forward. I could see definitely Troy Weaver taking an interest into him. But one dude, one thing I want to kind of highlight is this trade down scenario. So I was looking on Tankathon. I
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
Memphis Grizzlies have the 15th, the 19th, and the 20th pick. Let's just say if they had a prospect they really wanted, would you
Mhm.
be willing? Would you think the Pistons be willing to trade down to get the 15th, the 19th, and the 20th pick?
Maybe. I guess it just depends on how the year pans out. If anybody, I'll just put it this way: if the year keeps going the way these first 12 games have been, I would think so. Because like Frank Jackson, Hamidou Diallo, Corey Joseph, like a lot of these guys in the rotation, they're not going to stick around if they keep playing this way.
Mm-hmm.
And even somebody like Corey Joseph, like he's there as a stopgap solution at the point guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, if there's really not anybody stepping up to fill in an actual rotation spot, then I would think so. And if there's multiple guys, then yeah. Otherwise, I think the plan has always been just try and build through the draft. So
Mm,
my thought on Troy Weaver is he comes from Oklahoma City, right? That's where he's been his whole time. And
mm,
he saw Presti, there's Sam Presti, build up through the draft, first and foremost, right? KD, Russ, um, Ibaka, James Harden. I think he wants to do that same thing first. And I mean, it's been said multiple times that he was the guy that went to bat for Russell Westbrook. So I think he believes, first and foremost, that's the best way for the team to acquire long-term talent. So I
mm,
think he's going to stick to that no matter what. And I think he would rather keep these lottery picks and
mm,
then kind of fill in. It's also odd because I think he's utilized free agency. I didn't think he would utilize it as much as he has because, again, my thought was coming from Oklahoma City, like they do not care about free agency, right? Like, can you even remember the last time they signed somebody
mm,
off the street? Yeah, like I have no idea. So I think he's a little the same, but I think he's actually utilized his connections and like anybody that criticizes his signings now, like I don't understand because everybody's worked out. Even somebody like Corey Joseph, like who I know a lot of fans don't like, and obviously when I watch the games, he drives into no man's land a lot of times, but he's second on the team in assists. I mean, he was leading the team in assists until that last game where Killian put up 10. And now Killian's the leader in assists, but still, like, he knows where to go with the ball. He doesn't turn it over. Trey Lyles, too, like, he hasn't shot it well, but again, he's rebounding better than somebody like Jeremy Grant,
mm.
who, and he's playing tough defense. Now he has to move over to center, and then Olynyk and Grant speak for themselves. So it's like, he'll utilize, I think now, like kind of fill in those in between, but I still think he doesn't want to necessarily trade down. And if he does see somebody at the top that he wants, I think he would rather stick with that. Because
Yeah,
I think Russ was like what the sixth pick, and Harden was like four, I want to say, right?
yeah. About one thing, one dude I wanted to know myself. I think his name
Mm-hmm.
is Damian Collins. I
Mm-hmm.
believe he plays for Kentucky. It,
Yeah.
it's a guy that I will watch out for because he's 6'9", but he is uber athletic. He can block
Mm-hmm.
shots. He looked like he's an enforcer right now for Kentucky. And that's what we kind of need with Isaiah Stewart. He can grow to 6'10", 6'11". That ain't out of ordinary. He might even grow until 7 foot. So I would take a chance on him. He looked real nice. He just looks like an enforcer. So that's something we definitely need. We need it bad, especially with what's the name being out Kelly
Kelly
on.
Olynyk.
Yeah, even though Kelly Olynyk ain't much of an enforcer, we need an enforcer big. That's something that we been needing for them. So
Yeah, I agree. I think Collins, it's up in the air though. He's only played 23 minutes so far on the Kentucky team,
mm,
so it's uncertain like what he is. I remember seeing preseason stuff of him shooting threes and looking pretty nice, but it's also hard to gauge with Kentucky players because
mm,
what is it? It's like all the way back to Eric Bledsoe. We've had Eric Bledsoe. We've had Devin Booker, Tyrese Maxey, Quickly, Bam. All these guys, like you look at their stats and you watch the film of Kentucky. SGA is another one, and you're like, all right. And then they show up in the league and they just blow up, you know. So I'm totally in on like anybody like getting into Kentucky guys. And I was a big Tyrese Maxey guy. I really wanted them to go after the Pistons to go after Tyrese Maxey for that same reason. Like it's such a pattern now that I think any Kentucky guy is worth at least taking a look at because it seems like whatever they're doing, even though they're not producing at Kentucky, like Coach Cal knows how to get guys ready. He's just had such a long track record before of maybe like filling in certain areas in their game. And I know I've heard like Sam Vecini and a couple other draft expert guys talk about that Cal will sell them on like, look, you got to fill this role. It may not be what you want to, but this is going to get you ready for the league to like cover up your weaknesses or like show you can play a role. And again, it works. So I'm totally in on the if you wanted to take a gamble on somebody, then take a gamble on a Kentucky guy for sure. And
yeah,
Collins looks like an athlete for sure. He
mm,
fits that Troy Weaver type mold of like a big guy. So
yeah,
6'9", 202 is what they list him at.
mm,
I think he's playing power forward, but again, at Kentucky, it's kind of hard to tell at times.
mm, yeah, for sure. Any other draft? Um, any other draft prospect you got? that you
Yeah,
want?
I got a few. So since like a couple of guys at the site and I have been talking about like since six is like the where the Tankathon odds have us at before. It's like okay, start like making a short list of like guys we would like for them to draft, and it starts with Paulo. For me, it goes to Patrick Baldwin Jr. next, and then after that, it's like Caleb Houston. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's already that connection with Cade, and we talked about that last time. And then after that, Jabari Smith is another one. Like the things that people talked about with Damian Collins, where like you can shoot the ball and all that stuff. Like he's shown out already. He's produced pretty well. Let me pull up the numbers here. Again, it's only 2 games, so
Mm-hmm.
grain of salt, right? 15.5 points, 2.5 assists, 8 rebounds. He's shooting 55 from the field and 62.5% from 3-point range on 4 attempts, and
Yeah.
then 75% from the line. So obviously those numbers are going to come down, but he's shown out so far. And a big dude too. I believe he's like 6'10". Yeah, 6'10" and like 210 pounds. So another guy I would think Troy Weaver already had on the radar. You know, he likes his big men. So yeah, Jabari Smith after that, and then um, the other two guys for me are kind of like the wild card. AJ Griffin hasn't played really much yet, but again, 6'6", 222. He's supposed to be another wing. People have talked about him in like Jimmy Butler range
Mm-hmm.
of type of player. So I think like if you're gonna roll the dice on somebody, I would rather them do that than either Chet Holmgren or Jalen Duren.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a little bit about it last time. Like for me, Chet, I just don't know what he's going to do in the half court. And you kind of saw that against Texas, where he had like 4 points or like 2 points. Like he just, I understand they were just feeding Timmy, but he was still kind of a non-factor, non-existent. I just don't know what he does beyond like shooting and like how many 6 foot or 7 foot guys under 200 pounds like really make it in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just don't know like what he is and where he fits in. Jalen Duren again, like he's a big dude, but I mean I don't necessarily see skill. And then the fit with Beef Stew, like would Beef Stew go to the bench because Duren's obviously going to have to be um, a five if he's not going to shoot it. So I would rather them take a chance on somebody like AJ Griffin if he's healthy, because that's obviously the big thing. And then number six, to me, he hasn't been talked about at all. And like when I was going to Tankathon, I don't even see him ranked. But to me, just seeing him in the first 2 games, I'm like, this guy looks like a lottery pick. Is Harrison Ingram from Stanford. So he's listed at 6'8", 230 pounds. He is currently averaging, and again, it's just 2 games, but he's averaging 17.5 points, 1.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds. He's shooting 53% from the line, 44% from three, and 87.5% on his free throws. And I mean, he is a one-man show at Stanford so far. And look at these numbers here. So the next guy on the team is Jaden Delaire, who's only averaging 10 points. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he really is like doing all the heavy lifting. I think he shot the most 3-point shots. I can tell you that here real quick. He's second on the team in terms of 3-point shots, but yeah, leading them far and away with 35 points. The next closest guy's got like 17, I think. But Harrison Ingram's a guy to look at. He got some publicity a little bit in the off season, but I think as the year wears on and he's able to do this more and more, he looks like a lottery pick for sure, especially that size. Defensively, the Stanford's only played Santa Clara, who unfortunately they lost to, and the other one was Tarleton State. But in both games, he showed the ability to like guard point guards, which he did a lot. And it wasn't just like a switch. It's like he lined up on them when they crossed half court. He was the one assigned to this guy. Never ran off the court, stayed with them all the time. He posts up dudes at that size, never backs down, is not moved from his spot. Like he looks a little bit like OG Anunoby and Harrison Barnes, like OG Anunoby on the defensive side, Harrison Barnes on the offensive side. So I think he's super intriguing. And again, 6'8", 230 with those shooting splits definitely seems like a lottery pick to me if that holds up.
Yeah. Um, I would agree with you. I like Jabari Smith. Um, I've seen him. I know he's a 5-star recruit. He
Yeah.
plays Auburn. He's a guy. If he puts it all together, if the numbers go up, we could be talking about him in the top 5. easily.
Yeah.
Nice, nice dude. I think I don't think he's crazy athletic, but I think he's decently athletic, like decent enough,
Hmm.
good enough to pass. But his shooting numbers look good. Look like he got a real stroke. And it looks like if you put about 230, you can put about 230, 240 on him, he'll be all right. Um, I think he's got a decent first step too, and all of that. He definitely is a guy that I will watch out for. Because if you put him next to Beef Stew, I think that would be a nice front court. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that one guy. I'm not a big Chet Holmgren guy just because he's 7 foot and under 200 pounds. It's like, dude, especially for this team, we need an enforcer, and he would just get absolutely demolished on the NBA
Yeah.
real. So I agree with you on everything you said. But there's one guy that I know he's like a shooting guard or like a combo guard. I forgot his name, but he plays at Duke. I think he's a 5-star combo guard. I don't know his name, but he was going off.
Oh, that's the guy that had the good game with Keels, Trevor Keels?
Yeah, him. The reason why I looked at him, I was like, I like him, is because the way that he plays reminds me of that defense mentality. Like he's not going to back down. But he reminds me of Marcus Smart. He gives me some type of vibes, like a Marcus Smart type of vibes. Like I could see him being that role in the NBA. I could see Troy Weaver like him because he's athletic. He's going to get to the paint. The thing about it is his jumper is really streaky. We
Yeah,
gonna
that's bad.
really streaky. But if we talking about attacking the hole, going to the paint, going up, finishing crazy, and look like he could be a decent defender, that's a guy I would watch out for. I don't think he's going to be a top 6 pick, but
Mhm.
it's a guy that I think we could trade back for in the first round and get that I like personally. But
Mhm.
um, other than that, it ain't really too many guys that I don't really know that I could say myself, but yeah, that's about it that I can think of right now.
Yeah, Keels is listed at 6'4", 220. You're right. He's right now. They played 3 games and he's shot 26.7% from
Mm,
three on 15 attempts. So that's something to monitor. Like the first 2 games, he was putrid.
mm,
Kentucky, he shot 1 of 4, and then in the game against Army, he was 1 for 6. But then this last game against Campbell, he was 2 of 5. So that's what we'll have to monitor, I think, going forward. Because yeah, it's hard too because like Killian started to turn the corner, and
mm,
that's the thing. Like if Killian and Kate are going to be like who we're going to roll with, then it's hard for them to draft another guard. And like if you were maybe an inch taller, like when at 6'4", 220, can he move over to the three?
mm,
And again, like with Stewart, and, I mean with Sadiq and Grant, like that's the question to me is like where does he fit in? I think most of the guys we've looked at, even somebody like Patrick Baldwin Jr., it seems like he could play center 6'9", 220, and he is kind of in that role. Like he can rebound real well. So we'll see
mm,
what that is. I guess for me, my thought is like either they need another wing shooter and then Sadiq moves to the floor, or they have to draft like Grant's eventual replacement, which
mm,
is what it seems like. But I'm not sure.
mm,
I'm working on a piece right now about breaking down Grant's game.
mm,
I did it with Motor City Hoops from Bryce Diamond from um, DetroitBadBoys.com, and he and I have kind of gone back and forth on that. Is like yeah, he's producing, but like it's just impossible to know if like this is where he wants to stay.
mm.
And there are parts of his game that it's like, yeah, he's getting his shot, but like, is it really opening up for others? And then to me, that's just my personal part where when I see that, I'm like, okay, he's not really getting a lot of assists and he's not really opening up for others. So like, does he want to do that, or is he cool in this role? And like, is he cool staying here while the team still struggles this much? It's just that's why to me, I think like I lean more towards that. It seems like they would be trying to draft Grant's eventual replacement, but again, that's just my thought.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be sooner rather than later. I think he probably is end up gonna get moved. I don't know if it's gonna be it might be this off season or next off season, more than
Yeah.
likely. Like you said, some games it just seemed like he just wants to do his own thing. He's just interested of playing ball. Like back before when Blake Griffin was on the team, we was playing Blake ball. Sometimes we're just playing Jeremy Grant ball, and I don't really like that. Like we,
Yeah, I know it's I
mm,
have a hard time saying this because I'm obviously not like a coach or anything, but I feel like the offense is catered to him and everything he does well, and it's just like everything else is kind of thrown by the wayside. That's why we don't see a lot of pick and roll. I mean, I don't have numbers in front of me, but I feel like the most utilized play that the team actually calls is like Grant lined up in the corner. They set a screen for him, and he comes off a pin down to
mm,
curl around to either shoot a mid ranger or drive to the basket. Like I feel like that's the most thing that they do,
mm.
and also part of why like the ball doesn't seem to be moving so much is because he likes to drive in a straight line and he likes to come off screens. So yeah, I totally feel you on that.
Yeah. Another thing that people ain't gonna say, but I'm gonna say this. I think I will give Dwayne Casey until this year. I think I would be trying to find his replacement because there's some of his lineups for the last couple of years, his rotations and everything. Like I'll be ready to try to get rid of him. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're not playing Diallo. I mean, Hamidou Diallo because of what's going on in practice. You know, I get you got to have some discipline, but why why are you going to resign him and just let him sit on the bench? Like Hamidou he had a breakout year and we just let him sit. Like and he frustrated now. He want to get. There's rumors that he want to get traded and everything.
yep.
Like we don't need that type of coach. He did the same thing with Sekou. Just let him sit there and rot. And then we traded him basically for like nothing. Like we really got nothing out of it. So
Well, I think the Seiko one was a little different because if you see, like, read the comments from Casey, from his teammates, and then from other people, it seems like Seiko has a drive and determination kind of
mm,
question to where it seems like because you never want to call out somebody's work ethic or call out somebody's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not that he's soft, but just like, he's not a hard worker kind of thing. And
yeah,
it seems like that is the subtext with Sekou is just like he didn't want to put in the extra work. And again, you go back and read the comments from Casey and from teammates. That seems to be they're trying to be nice about it, of like, hey, you got to step it up and put in more time. It just seems like he never really wanted to, and I think that bared itself out on the court. Like when he did get time in the NBA, like what exactly was he doing well?
yeah, that's
It's
true.
just hard to see. Whereas Diallo is the opposite. I'm totally with you. So Ben Quagliata, another contributor for Detroit Bad Boys, wrote a piece a couple of days ago called "The Curious Case of Hamidou Diallo." You should go check that out as well. Because I mean, we're all feeling that one as well. And I said it in the offseason that I feel like Josh Jackson and Hamidou are kind of redundant on this roster because they do the same thing. So Casey recently said, and you can go look up a tweet from James Edward III, who was like, it was basically a competition between Josh Jackson and Diallo, and Jackson won out. So that kind of reiterates it. But again, like I'm with you. I don't understand why you can't find minutes or something to do, especially for teams so bad like this. And he
Mm,
showed out. He put up like 35 points in one game last year, and Bryce Diamond, Motor City Hoops, and I went back and forth on this last night. I just feel like this offense is again cater to Grant's needs and also just too much ISO ball. Whereas last year it seemed like they're like, okay, we know your role, we know your role. Okay, like Diallo is a good example because when he got traded, like, okay, we know you like to drive to the basket. We know that you can play make some and developing that. So that's what we're going to have you do is like get the ball in your hands a little bit, run some pick and roll, get some passes, and then if you're, work on your jump shot. And it seemed like it was going pretty well. I just don't know what happened. I know they turned over a lot of assistant coaches, and I think that's probably where the offense is because Casey's always been known as a defensive guy, right? And I'm not totally with you on like giving him a year because I really like Casey, but I do think that is like you got to do something about this offense. If this offense keeps up the way that it is, it's just easy for people to game plan against when like three of the guys are just going to stand around and there's no movement whatsoever. And watch Grant and Kay just try to shimmy guys, for I don't know, like 40 minutes, and it's just like, what are we doing?
yeah. definitely. But one thing I wanted to ask you is there any centers that you know that you would take a look at in this draft? Because we really need a center. And what do you feel about the Marvin Bagley situation? You think that we gonna try to pull off a Marvin Bagley or no?
I don't know. Like honestly, it just depends on what the trade is. I'm not a big Bagley fan, but like if you were to say they traded Josh Jackson for Marvin Bagley, cool. I'm fine with that. You know, um, even though I wouldn't want them to trade any draft picks, if it was like a second round pick, cool, fine, that's awesome. As long as it's not something where they're moving, you know, people that can contribute later. Like I know there's been the Diallo for Bagley float around. That one I would be pretty upset with because it's like, what are we doing here? We just re-signed Diallo. The team just re-signed Diallo. Bagley's gonna be a free agent. Like just seems like a bad move and a step backwards. As far as centers in the draft, if we're not talking Jalen Duren, I know there's Yannick Sosa, who plays over in Malaga in Spain in ACB, which is like the second best domestic league in the world. I know he's pretty good defensively, but 6'9" or 6'10", 195 pounds. It's not like the biggest dude. And I just don't know offensively what he is. He's also somebody I haven't really dived into a lot of game film on. Currently, he's number 7 on Tankathon's big board. But I'm also beyond that. It's really not a great track for center. The next guy would probably be Damian Collins, 6'9", 210 again. But I'm not sure he's a center because again, we don't know what he's supposed to be doing at Kentucky really so far. And then after that is Mark Williams from Duke, who
Oh
to
yeah.
me I'm like, no, thank you. And I think any centers beyond that to me would be like no, thank you. And if we're talking second round, then there are a couple guys that are interesting, but I think they are like they kind of overlap already with people that are already here. Like Orlando Robinson's a guy I like out of Fresno State
Mm,
or Fresno. He's about 7 foot, like 250.
mm.
He can shoot the three some. He's pretty good on the post. He's probably a little bit more athletic Luka Garza though. But I really think if center was it, like it's better to go add in free agency and try and find somebody there. I'm not a fan of the like go max DeAndre Ayton move, but that's probably a better option than trying to draft somebody. And to be honest, if it was like between go draft a center and max out DeAndre Ayton, then I would say max out DeAndre Ayton. And even somebody like Mo Bamba, who's really turned it on this year and shot better from three, has a lot more assists. Like if you wanted to go throw an offer at him, in the vein of like what they did with Grant or what they did with Kelly Olynyk, I think that's a better move than trying to draft a center out of this. And I'm just not a center dude either. Like I just think the game has moved away from that so much that you really shouldn't invest high draft picks for a lot of money into that position unless it's somebody like Bam Adebayo.
Right. Okay. I feel you. There's one guy that I don't know if he's gonna do well at LSU. He is a center. I forgot his name. It starts with an E. It looked like he can do something, but I don't know. He had one really good game, then the other game was kind of for the second one. But I don't know his name. He's a legit 7 foot. He's a 5-star recruit.
The Efton Reed.
Yeah, it, I will keep an eye on him, but I don't know how good he is. Like I said, it's like an. But could be a player that I will watch out for because he's legit big. I think I've definitely seen him block some shots, so he could be an enforcer with Beef Stew. I don't know about his jump shot or anything, but I've seen a little bit of him. So
Yeah,
just
there'll be two guys like if you're talking about like steals or sleeper guys. The league's or the nation's leader in blocks right now with 10 is right here where I'm at in Tucson, Arizona, at the University of Arizona. Christian Coloco. He's
mm,
7'1", 225 pounds. He is the starting center for this team. Yeah, he's averaging 5 blocks a game right now in the two games that the team has played here. So he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I think he moves pretty well for a guy that size. He beat out Omar Ballo too, and Ballo was a transfer from Gonzaga. And I thought Ballo would for sure be the starting center because they made a big deal about him moving with Tommy Lloyd, who was also at Gonzaga. But Coloco like played at Sierra Canyon High School, got a good pedigree. Again, he's somebody that can definitely erase shots. And there's another French guy. Give me a second because I was just looking at him today. He plays for Stanford. I think his name is Reynard. Yeah. Maxime Renault is his name. He is, let's check out the 7'1", 235 pounds. Again, he's a French guy. I noticed him because Victor Wembanyama actually was posting about him on his Instagram account, and I was like, oh, this is his boy. Let's go check out like what his profile is like. In the last game against Santa Clara, Renault had, let's see, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. And just watching the one film, like this dude knows how to pass for being such a big center. He was 6 of 7 from the field. He was 1 of 2 from 3-point range, and he only got to the line once and hit one. So he's somebody I would definitely keep an eye on too, because I believe that he's a freshman. Yeah, he's a freshman too. So he's a young guy that I think could be a big time sleeper. Because yeah, that game was pretty impressive, man. Especially those 4 assists. You don't see that often from a big dude.
Yeah.
7'1", 235.
Absolutely. And see, this is why I like talking to you, because I don't even be knowing these dudes. You know,
yeah.
Gonna have to do some more. I didn't know the last 2 dudes. You're gonna have to send me that, because I'm gonna have to watch film. I'm probably gonna do my own breakdowns and let them know. But absolutely, it is a joy to do this with you. We got to do more often, man. I love talking to you. You got so much knowledge. I like people who got knowledge, and you know, because me, I'm a young guy, so I like listening to people, you know, so it makes me more wiser and all of that. And it's good to listen to people, all the thoughts and opinions. We might agree, but we can agree on some things. I'm the type of person, I listen to anybody's thoughts and opinions. I'm not the type of person going to shut down your opinion. I could be like, oh, I see where you're coming from. I see what point you're trying to get across, you know. So absolutely. But it was nice doing this with you.
Yeah, man, definitely. I look forward to doing it more often.
Yeah. Please go check out the website, and please go check out his article, you guys. He does a phenomenal job. Please give this man some support, please.
Yeah, right back at you too. Subscribe to the channel, man. Pistons Mike. It's the best spot for just, you know, catching up. It's like the barbershop of the Detroit basketball world.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Sir.
Hey, man.
You do, man. I'll see you later.